just like our children, chimpanzee children have a lot to learn, and they learn by observing and practicing what they've seen.
We're here at Kadoorie Farm and Botanic Garden with a true legend of conservation. Dr. Jane Goodall, welcome back to Hong Kong.
Thank you.
You arrived at Gombe in Tanzania in 1960. Could you describe your mission at that time? Well,
when I was 10 years old, I dreamed of going to Africa and living with wild animals. And I was lucky enough when I got there, having saved up as a waitress, actually. I hadn't been to college, but I had read every book I could find about animals and met Louis Leakey, the famous paleontologist, and he asked if I would be prepared to go and study chimpanzees, not just any animal, but the one most like us. Of course, for months, the chimpanzees ran away as soon as they saw me.
And you spent 40 years on and off with the chimps at Gombe. What lessons have you learned from them?
As the chimps gradually lost their fear and I began to get to know them, it was fascinating to see their very different personalities, and they're just as different from one another as we are. At that time, it was thought that humans, and only humans, used and made tools. It was science that thought this, by the way. If you'd gone and asked the pygmies living in the forests of Congo, they could have told you chimps used tools. So that was, that really was the breakthrough observation.
Worldwide, your work and message is carried forward by the Jane Goodall Institute. Could you explain how your vision of community-centred conservation works?
It was utterly shocking that right across Africa, the forests were disappearing, chimpanzee numbers were dropping, the beginning of the bushmeat trade, the commercial hunting of wild animals for food, chimpanzees caught in snares, human populations growing, needing more land for growing food, for developing their villages, moving into chimp territory with their cattle, too poor to buy food from elsewhere, struggling to survive. And that's when it hit me. If we can't help these people to improve their lives, if we can't help them find alternative ways of living that doesn't involve cutting down the forest to grow food or to make charcoal, then we can't even try to save the chimps.
The unifying theme of your books and perhaps even your career has been that of hope. With the world entering uncertain times, how do you remain hopeful for the future of the planet?
It's sometimes a little difficult. And we've now got, on top of pollution and desertification and shrinking water supplies, we've got climate change. So it is a pretty grim world. But if we lose hope, if we give up, then that's the end. But I believe we've got a window of time. I just don't know how big that window is, but there is a window of time. And if we get together, we can start at least healing some of the scars. The reasons I have for hope are, one, the young people. For me, this is why I travel 300 days a year, because if we can't get the young people to be better stewards of this planet than we've been, what's the point of anything? There's no point in my rushing around getting money for Takari and trying to save chimps in forests if we're not educating the young people. And finally, there's the indomitable human spirit, the people who tackle the impossible or what seems impossible, and they won't give up. Animals on the brink of extinction have sometimes been given another chance. And I know we're in the midst of the 6th great extinction, but we can stop it being total. And if we don't, then never mind all the animals, but we too will no longer be able to inhabit this planet. So we mustn't let that happen.